Hello, everybody. My name is Fatimah Von Abubakari. I'm a lecturer with the University of Cape Coast in Ghana. And some of the courses I teach are agricultural value chain, food safety and quality standards, gender mainstreaming in agriculture, and then communication for community development. So today I'm just going to make a brief presentation on women, the role of women in agriculture, the challenges they face, and then also to reiterate why it's important for us to, or for women to adopt innovative irrigation options as a means of improving their livelihoods, getting out of poverty, and also improving the general well-being of women. Welcome everyone to today's presentation, which is on empowering women in agriculture, innovative irrigation options for Africa's smallholder women farmers. Now, this presentation is to remind the world of the vital role played by women in agriculture, the challenges they face, and reiterate innovative irrigation as a solution to food security or food insecurity, malnutrition, livelihoods, empowerment, and overall well-being of women. This is going to be the outline of presentation. It will span from overview of smallholder farming in Africa through to innovative irrigation options, success stories, and then implications for adoption of these innovative irrigation options. Now, by way of introduction, smallholder farmers are those with less than 2 hectares of land for agricultural production. They are often characterized by low technology and input use, rain-fed reliance on labor from relatives, and then retaining a greater proportion of their harvest for household consumption. Agriculture is known to account for 20% of Africa's GDP and employs about 60% of people in agriculture. An estimated 250 million smallholders are into agriculture in Africa, yet Africa is a net importer of foods. It is also known that over 80% of farmlands in Africa are owned by smallholder farmers. This means that smallholder agricultural growth in Africa has the potential to reduce extreme poverty, malnutrition, food insecurity, since they contribute tremendously to total production of food by providing livelihoods to over 2 billion people. Now, the importance of women in agriculture cannot be overemphasized. They are the front line in agriculture and make up an average of 43% of on-farm labor and 62% of general agricultural labor, including production, processing, and then marketing. Women also have a vast indigenous knowledge of local plant species, which helps them to provide a large variety of nutritious foods for their families, thereby curbing malnutrition, even at the household level. Women also are known to plow back food produced into households and the profits they make from these agricultural ventures, thereby alleviating poverty from bottom up. Should women have, or should women farmers have the same access to productive resources as men, there could be increases of about 30% in yields, reduction in hunger by 70%, and up to 150 million people will be out of poverty. This shows how important women are in agriculture. Now, these are usually, well, this is the perfect picture that is printed, all things being equal. However, a lot of challenges makes it nearly impossible to achieve these outcomes. Even though these challenges are both affecting men and women, severity among women is rather on the high side. Now, some of the challenges women face are inadequate markets, irrigation facilities, access to finance, storage and processing facility. They also experience high cost and poor access to farm machinery such as tractor. Access to training and support services, especially from extension services, is also a problem women face. Now, women also face access to inputs such as land, labor, fertilizer, and then improved seeds, which makes it difficult to produce or to increase productivity. Another important challenge women have is their triple role. Women are engaged in reproductive, productive, and community roles. Women are the caregivers in the family. They provide the firewood, they go to fetch water, they cook the food, they look after their children and older people who are sick in the family. They also do productive activities, economic activities to earn a little income. And they are also engaged in community roles such as organizing or cooking at funerals, outdoorings, and other social events. Now, these challenges, together with climate change, has further worsened the plight of women. Climate change makes rain-fed agriculture risky for these women. Climate change also causes low fertility, unpredictable rainfall, and then drought. Now, irrigation has been identified as a panacea strategy to increase resilience to shocks and stresses, such as droughts. Women's participation in irrigation is going to improve ultimate development outcomes, such as poverty reduction, household welfare, alleviate time burden, and enhance assets and income owned. It's also going to ensure that there's availability of nutritious foods throughout the year. Now, irrigation options will also reduce women's workload. The time taken for women to go and fetch water to manually irrigate their farms is going to be reduced, and is going to also save them time so that they engage themselves in other productive ventures. Now, these pictures here show a typical situation faced by women in manually irrigating. This is the dam here, and the woman has to walk for over 200 meters to fetch water to come and then irrigate her farm. Imagine the time spent or the time that is being wasted just to go back and forth in order to irrigate her farm manually. And that is the reason why we are advocating for innovative irrigation options, which is going to make the plight of women lessened, and they are going to have enough time to engage in other productive ventures. Now, some of the innovative irrigation options we are going to be talking about include the drip irrigation. Now, drip irrigation delivers water directly to the base of plants through a network of tubes and emitters. It provides precise control over water application and minimizes water wastage. Now, some of the benefits of drip irrigation is that it is the most efficient type of irrigation because it reduces water consumption by about 50%. And also it is less prone, water irrigated is less prone to evaporate. Drip irrigation also prevents soil erosion and water runoff because water is directly supplied to the root of the plant, and hence water doesn't run through, or water doesn't run through the topsoil, removing the topsoil and or the thus providing nutrient deficiency in soil. Drip irrigation also reduces weed growth because because water is directly supplied to the root. It minimizes the growth of weed in between rows and in unplanted areas, or even when unwanted plants germinate, they do not survive in drip irrigation because they do not have water and they die off due to water stress. Another innovative irrigation is the solar irrigation, which uses solar panels to generate electricity for pumping water. It is highly beneficial in areas where there is limited power supply or there are problems with power fluctuations. This is where the irrigation comes in handy. The benefits include that it is energy independent, meaning that it doesn't need fuel or any type of energy apart from the sun. Obviously, the sun is not, but it's gotten free of charge, so you don't incur any cost in providing electricity or buying fuel in generators. It reduces labor because even if there is, if you would have to manually pump, it takes time and it takes also energy. So it reduces labor, and it also ensures crop diversification because you have water available for all types of plants with different water requirements. Another one, or another type of innovative irrigation option is water harvesting. Another type of irrigation is water harvesting. This is the collection and storage of rainwater during the rainy season for use during the dry season. The roof catchment system usually traps water into storage tanks during the when rain falls or during rainfalls, and then subsequently it is stored in a storage tank, which is then used to subsequently irrigate the farms or the farms of women. Now, the benefits of these small water harvesting is that it ensures increased water availability. It is free water which can be harvested by anyone, provided that they have a storage tank and a roof catchment system to trap water. It also comes at a very lower cost. That means that smallholder farmers, especially in Africa, can be able to adapt to this. And also it provides continued water, it provides water continuously for these farmers, meaning that crops can also be cultivated all year round. Last but not the least, we have the sprinkler irrigation. This is a type of irrigation that actually mimics natural rainfall. Water is distributed by pumping from the source through a system of pipes or ordinary hoses, and they are sprayed into the air through sprinklers. Some people also use shower heads as sprinklers. Now, the benefits of sprinkler irrigation is that it's able to cover larger areas, which is cost effective. Okay, and it can be used anywhere unlike some other types of irrigation options, which are specific for certain geographical areas. Now, these are some of the successes of innovative irrigation across Africa. In Burkina Faso, Amina and her colleagues would not need to worry about extreme water conditions such as drought, because now they have access to solar-powered pumps, which they are able to use to pump water which goes directly into their farms. They are able to farm or cultivate fruits and legumes all year round, not only for domestic purposes, but for commercial purposes as well. Another success story is in Kenya, where a company known as Sinafa, a smart farming solutions company, provided smallholder women farmers with smart drip irrigation for their food production. Now, benefits of these, the farmers saw, included extra nutrition from the produce they have, and then an increase in the income they had as a result of continuous cropping. Another benefit in Ghana, or another benefit of innovative irrigation options, was in Ghana, where the Center for Women and Food Security, a non-profit organization, by providing innovative systems to women, saw that it contributed to the income they earned. And this was used to cover household expenses such as school fees and health expenses. They also realized that women who adopted to these innovative technologies became more active, or had more active roles in their community. Women were also now joining groups, and more women were seen to be respected leaders in the community. Now, with these things, I believe that we are convinced of why innovative irrigation options are important in Africa. Now, there are implications for its adoption. For adoption of these irrigation options to be successful, there are certain things that must be done to ensure success. The first is that there needs to be collaboration and investment between women smallholder farmers and non-governmental organizations, including local and international organizations, civil society organizations, and then agricultural technology companies to provide innovative irrigation options for these women. Also, there's a need to support women smallholder farmers to access inputs like fertilizer, improved seedlings. There's also the need for women to be able to access, because obviously if the water sources are there and women do not own land near these water sources, even if irrigation is provided, they are not going to be able to benefit from these irrigation schemes. And so there's a need to ensure that once irrigation schemes are being provided, women are factored in so that they have access, or they are able to own some of these lands near these irrigation schemes. There is also the need to train and build capacity of these women. Empowering women with knowledge, especially in the use of innovative irrigation technologies, is very important. Research has shown that even if you provide these women with these irrigation facilities without training or empowering them or building their capacity on its use, it becomes very difficult for them to adopt it. Also, there's also the need for women to be trained or build their capacity on ecological farming practices, such as low reduced tillage and fertilization of the soil, or organic fertilization of the soil, including biochar and then co-compost. This biochar and co-compost are heavily advocated for because they can be easily gotten from, or the raw materials for its preparation can be easily gotten from the farmers' surroundings, which ensures sustainability. Also, there's the need for the community to support. All hands must be on deck, be it men or women, because the reproductive roles of women are too many, which makes it challenging for them to sometimes engage in productive resources. So productive activities. So engaging men to take up more reproductive roles is going to reduce the burden of women and ensure that they have enough time to concentrate on productive productive activities or ventures that is going to improve their livelihood and bring them out of poverty, implying that once they are brought out of poverty, then the women become more empowered. They have a voice in society and they are not scared to speak because the man or the male is the sole breadwinner of the family. These are some of the references for further reading. And then thank you so much for your time.
All right, my name is Dorcas Kwamande. I am the Gender and Community Health Officer, Self-Help Africa, United Purpose, Nigeria. I am talking on the gender equality, food production, and food security. And I have on my contents, key challenges faced by women and self-Africa's role, the way forward for progress, and as well as the success stories from women in Nigeria, the Rural Women Project. In many developing countries, women make up more than half of the total population. Women occupy a central place in subsistence agricultural production and are accountable for 80% of agricultural production. Women are majorly involved in food production, processing, preparation, and marketing. The role of women in ensuring food and nutrition security is enormous. But oftentimes, this role is largely unrecognized and undervalued. Women often lack access to resources, they lack access to markets and other services, and are often have a weak voice in decision making. Here we also have statistics on the gender gap in food security. Like 10 years ago, the UN World Food Program found that women and girls made up 60% of the world's chronically hungry population. And in the decade since, many organizations explicitly chronically the world's hungry population in the decade since. Many organizations explicitly included gender in their food and agricultural strategies. Multiple UN agencies adopted policies on gender equality, beginning in the year 2009. That was Fuel the Future, launched in 2009 by USAID, emphasizes gender equality. Also, the Chicago Council released its 2011 report, Girls Grow, a vital force in rural economies, urging the developing communities to focus on rural adolescents and offering recommendations on how to do so. Despite this, commendable efforts, women remain especially susceptible to food insecurity. Also, in 2022, the state of food security and nutrition in the world shows that women have less food than men in every region of the world. Sadly, the gap between men and women's food security is growing, and the gap keeps growing. The most conservative estimate shows there are over 120 million more women than men who are hungry. In fact, the 2019 State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World from the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations reported that women are 10% more likely than men to experience food insecurity. And globally, more women are food insecure than men. So what is driving women's difference experience of food security? And why is the food security gender gap so persistent? Okay, let us look at the reasons the gap is persistent and how United People's Safe Africa interventions in Nigeria is working on bridging this gap. Yeah, in Nigeria, women have suffered long-term discrimination in the allocation of and control of productive resources, despite their essential roles in the maintenance of family by ensuring food security at the household level and at the community at large. Experiences from our field experiences, the level of food insecurity is higher among the rural communities. This is an experience from the field work we have done in Nigeria, 2 states, Benue and Cross River states. You know, it's notable that gender norms, roles, and relations are powerful determinants of the health, social, and economic well-being of individuals and communities around the world. And indeed, gender equality is a key factor for human development and greater realization of human rights. So development leaders around the world increasingly recognize that promoting gender equality is essential to achieving significant and sustainable progress related to health, education, the environment, the civil society, and the economy. We are also aware that gender inequality limits women and girls' access to social capital and other health and development resources, while placing them at greater risk of gender-based violence, human trafficking, early and forced marriages, and other human rights. Most of them have been forced in the IDP camps where you see all of this happening. One of the major factors in food security is the household income, the social networks, and educational attainment. We also look at land rights and social norms that are also contributors to women's food insecurity. You know, women generally have less access to land and agricultural inputs than men, and often face unequal decision-making power in the home. That is even predominantly found in Nigerian and rural homes we have worked in. We have also experienced that. And then we discovered that only 12.8% of global landholders are women. In most cultures in Nigeria, women cannot even inherit land, even if she's the only child of her parents. In some cultures, the practice is for women to even eat last after the men and the children must have eaten in their families. The children and the men eat to their fill before the woman who even prepares the food eats. Although this practice is changing drastically, it contributes to malnourishment and even anemia in women. Some even have miscarriages when they are pregnant because of lack of food and nutrients in their bodies. So when household access to food becomes precarious, women often adapt by eating less so that the rest of their family can have more. Sacrifices women make after working so much to achieve all of this. So Safe Africa came to Nigeria, and the work Safe Africa is doing in Nigeria is we brought Rural Women Entrepreneurs Project. So the project now focuses on empowering women entrepreneurs, and it established clubs, that is social-cultural clubs. The clubs provide benefits, including financial, the organization provides benefits, including financial benefits, literacy support, and even product development, and then scale up in the use of digital tools. The project also works closely with these entrepreneurs, the women clubs, women entrepreneurs, to develop market-based strategies in areas such as nutrition and well-being, integrating their existing businesses activities with new opportunities in these fields. The goal is to establish lasting connections and incentives that will sustain program benefits beyond the pilot phase. The RWE aims to address healthcare disparities in Nigeria, especially through integration of digital solutions, women-led social enterprises, and in collaboration with various stakeholders, especially the health departments of the local governments where the project is being implemented. United Peoples and South Africa in Nigeria has created safe spaces for women to ensure that no one is left behind. Under the Rural Women Entrepreneurship Project, we built capacity of women in their groups. Those are the social-cultural groups and the business-oriented groups, who are mostly farmers, subsistence farmers, to acquire skills to improve on their businesses. First of all, we facilitated them to create self-worth and then build their self-esteem, to realize the value they add to their communities as traders and vendors, and the value they can also add to their various businesses, unlike the usual market trader business. The women can now use their mobile phones to transact businesses, advertise products, and exchange services. They also notice increase in product demand and sales through the use of advertisement, use of digital gadgets. Right now, Offshore is planning to organize a gender and social inclusion training for our local communities where projects are being implemented with the aim of improving awareness on gender issues with a positive and possible end to harmful cultural practices and social prejudices, discrimination, and stereotypes. This was born out of the realization made from assessment and then engagement with those community rural women, that most of our business women made money from their everyday trading, and later their husbands collected these monies, and then whether by force or by voluntarily giving it to them as a means of entitlement. As a husband, it means you are entitled to submit all you have to me. So after going to the market and making all the sales, the woman has no choice than to submit these monies to the husband, regardless of the fact that the women have the burden of feeding the family. The whole of this burden is rested on that woman alone in the family. Those were the things we discovered in most of our communities, and that has been the practice which has been going on in these communities. So for that reason, we have mapped out various stakeholders in the communities, even at the state level, where there will be a training, an awareness creation session on gender-based violence and the rest of them. We want them to understand the need, why there should be inclusion, there should not be discrimination, there should be empowerment for their women, more so that we discovered most of them feel an empowered woman is a threat to the home. So now, we also have, within these communities, we have women who spoke so good and so lovely about the project. We are working in Vandikia and Obandipu local government area. So we have quotes or success stories from women who came out to see the benefits the RWE, Rural Women Entrepreneur Project, has brought to them. And one of them said, "My joy knows no bounds. My husband died while I was pregnant with our second child, and I have been suffering from begging relatives to survive. Now I have a special skill to enable me to start a petty business to take care of me and my two children. At least I can now take and make liquid soap, shampoo, and disinfectants to sell at small rates. And continuously, I will grow a bigger business out of this." That was one Nancy from Divine Grace Association in the Vandika local government. She said she's a widow, and then she was left with nothing. Actually, if you see her, she's a lady of less than 25 years, whose husband died and left her with two children, and then she has been going from one place to another. This was after we did a training. As you can see in this picture, that was a particular training we did, and then they acquired these skills and then began to give testimonies of what they have benefited from the RWE, Self-Help Africa, United Peoples have brought to their community. Another one said, "I am glad to learn how to make Tom Brown today. This will help me to save a lot of children who are malnourished. I will take it to our PACs to sell to pregnant women on antenatal care days to help them and their unborn babies." This was a woman who learned how to make a meal out of grains, so many grains and cereals put together to make a health meal for children, especially for lactating mothers. So she was happy, she learned that, and then she add up to her skills to do these products and sell them at the facilities where women come for antenatal, and that was going to increase her income in the house. Another one said, "I have just discovered the benefits of plants around me. We plant them to eat because we do not have money to buy meat. But now, okay, let me explain this to you. In our tradition, the tradition where of people where we are working, meat, any household you go and there is no meat, it means those people are eating food without anything. So they must eat their food with meat, whatever food they are eating. So they felt like somebody who has no meat to eat in their food means the person is very poor. But they forgot the benefits of vegetables. So after this training, she said they were eating vegetables because they didn't have meat. But now they have realized the benefits of vegetables. And so now I will be intentionally eating them. Also, she said, "I didn't know we could mix various grains and cereals to produce a nutritious meal called John Brown." Thank you, United People, Safe Africa. These were stories from the women we have been working with in the communities, how this project has supported them and has helped them to improve on their selves. Now, let's look at the way forward for this. I encourage us by saying we must support, empower, and ensure that women have access to the necessary food and resources for themselves and their families to succeed. We can start with a commitment to invest in projects designed with women and their needs at the forefront. In the context of agriculture and the work of Self-Help Africa, empowering women in agriculture will feed the whole nation. If men control most of the household assets, they are likely to participate in an agricultural project than women. So let's say human-centered agricultural development projects designed around women's needs and experiences can make tangible differences in the lives of women and their families. So when women are provided with the same input, assets, and technical assistance as men, their yields could increase by as much as 20 to 30%, which translates to a reduction in the number of undernourished people in the world by 12 to 17%. Then we'll look at the inclusion, access, and control By closing the gap in all aspects of life, we must be pursued in its own rights for a fair and equal society. Closing the gender gap also supports the achievement of inclusion. So, poverty reduction and the attainment of SDGs, they are all lied and tied to this closing the gender gap, without which we cannot attain these SDGs. Supporting and empowering women and ensuring that the women have equal access to food and the resources necessary for them and their families to succeed, more than adding them into a program's mission statement. It requires a commitment to investing in projects that are designed with women and their needs in mind, just like the Share Up RWE project. The project focuses on women empowerment, empowering women with different skills, like I have. As the status of women improves, so do the benefits for the entire society. As long as the women bear the brunt of food crisis, they will experience higher rates of food insecurity. And as long as women experience higher rates of food insecurity, there will be need for gender responsive aid. Then empowering women will not only reduce women's food insecurity, but also boost global food security and economic prosperity for everyone, men and women alike, everyone. The global community must devote significant resources to empowering women and girls, as we are faced with a global population of almost 10 billion by the year 2050, and we simply can't afford not to. Leadership roles. An understanding of the community decision-making and leadership context is also important to craft development aid that is effective in promoting gender equality. Right from the beginning of every intervention, it should be considered. Even in cases where organizations and government works with community leaders to design and implement projects, women are often excluded, as noted by Catherine Bettling in her article, Invisible Women. A lack of women in leadership roles leads policy and grant makers to respond to the needs of men, mistaking them for the needs of the whole community. And at the end of the day, most of women are not even included, even the vulnerable in the society. I'd like to conclude by saying most global policies and data acknowledged that women play a key role in children's nutrition, but the relationship between gender equality and food security is more complex than just women giving birth to healthy children. Regardless of their reproductive role, women have other rights unrecognized, including the right to food. They are individuals who matter, but challenges for women continue as women face the triple burden of being productive, overseeing unpaid care work, and connecting communities. Women are critical members of our society who play important roles in producing food and in getting it even on the tables. That is preparation of the food they have produced. Their rights and their access to food are heavily intertwined. More than that, gender equality is highly connected to food security at a local, national, and global level. But simply put, it means that the more gender inequality there is in a country, the hungrier the people are. So let us close this gap by ensuring women are empowered, women are supported, and women are granted access to resources and as much as even control to these resources. Thank you.